Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Court of Appeal orders Customs to pay 100 million naira in restitution. 3 children die from diphtheria outbreak in Kaduna. Cattle traders in Nguru face low patronage and sinking capital. And on the foreign scene, Guinea-Bissau poses teachers' pay to weed out fictitious workers. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. The Court of Appeal in Sokoto State has upheld the decision of a federal high court in Birnin Kebbi, which ordered the Nigeria Customs Service to pay 100 million naira compensation to the family of Abdurrahman Sani, shot death by custom officials in November of 2020. Justice Lawal Taura delivered the judgment of the 3-man panel of justices on Friday. The report.
The Nigerian Customs Service appeals the judgment of the Federal High Court Kebbi, which held that the act of customs officers caused the death of Abdurrahman, ordering the service to pay 100 million naira general damages to the family of the deceased. The appeal court, after reviewing the case, upheld the judgment of the lower court, averring that the shooting to death of Sani was a violation of his right to life as guaranteed by Sections 33 of the Constitution.
And the prayers that was granted by the trial court are as follows: that a public apology should be issued by the Nigerian Customs Service Board and the Nigerian Customs for the killing of Abdurrahman Sani. And also a compensation of 100 million should be issued by the Nigerian Customs Service Board and the Nigerian Customs Service to the families of the late Abdurrahman Sani through his father, who stand on behalf of himself and the family.
Customs authority has appealed the case to this Court of Appeal, and I'm happy today that the Court of Appeal has dismissed the appeal made by the Customs because there are no evidences to prove. So what the court has awarded, the Federal High Court at Birnin Kebbi is now stands still. And I'm very happy for the Honorable Court, which has passed the judgment and looked at this evidence. I'm very happy.
The deceased, Abdurrahman Sani, left behind 5 children, a wife, and both parents.
And in Kano, a federal high court has adjourned till July 25th the hearing of a suit by former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, against the State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. The commission had invited the former governor for questioning over the controversial dollar bribery videos. The adjournment came after counsel to Ganduje, Basil Hemba, told the court that the applicant needed more time to respond to the counter-affidavit filed by the commission. Ganduje had filed the application for the enforcement of his fundamental human rights to a fair hearing, private and family life, and to acquire and own property before the court in Kano. Pursuant to this application, the court presided over by Justice A.M. Liman on July 7th granted an ex parte motion that restrained the commission and 7 others from inviting or harassing the former governor over the alleged dollar bribery video, pending the hearing and determination of the application. Counsel for Kano State Public Complaints Commission, Usman Fari, told newsmen after the day's proceedings that the commission has engaged renowned lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, to help present the commission's case in the suit. Former Minister of Aviation Stella Odua and others on Friday pleaded not guilty to a 5 billion naira fraud charge preferred against her by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Odua and 8 others were arraigned by the EFCC before Justice Iyang Ekwo of a federal high court in Abuja. Justice Ekwo fixed a date after counsel that appeared for the EFCC, Hassan Liman, SAN, prayed the court to allow the defendants to take their plea, having filed the charge against them since December 17, 2020. Others arraigned include the ex-lawmaker who represented Anambra North Senatorial District at the 9th National Assembly, where Gloria Odita, Nwosu Emmanuel Namdi, and Chukuma Irene Chinyere. Global Offshore and Marine Limited, Tip Top Global Resources Limited, Crystal Televisions Limited, Sobora International Limited, and others were also arraigned. Senator Odua, who was arraigned on alleged $5 billion fraud and financial misappropriation while serving as minister during the Goodluck administration. The 25-count charge borders on conspiracy, money laundering, and maintaining anonymous bank accounts with a commercial bank. Now, lawyers, litigants, including journalists, were on Friday asked to vacate Courtroom 7 of a federal high court in Abuja during the trial of Tukur Mamu, the negotiator for victims of the Abuja-Kaduna train abduction by terrorists. When the matter was called, counsel from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, who is prosecuting the case on the federal government's behalf, told the court that their witnesses were in court for the trial. The counsel then urged Justice Iyan Eko to enforce the order granted the prosecution on Wednesday when the matter came up. Justice Eko, who granted the prayer, ordered everyone in the court to vacate the courtroom except parties in the suit. Now, the development was, however, contrary to the application by the prosecution that accredited journalists at the Federal High Court, saying that they should be allowed to observe the proceedings in the trial. The News Agency of Nigeria reports that Justice Eko had on Wednesday granted an application to protect witnesses lined up in the prosecution of Mamu, who is being tried over his alleged relationship with terrorists that were involved in the last year's abduction of the Kaduna-Abuja-bound train. Now, let's get some more insight about this developing story. Joining us via Zoom this evening is Abba Hakimi. He is a lawyer and he's going to join us from Kano for a lot more of this, from Zaria, I beg your, from Kano actually, as we try to unpack some of these developments. Barrister, thank you very much for joining us on the News Hour.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'd like to get, first of all, your initial thoughts about this decision by Justice Eko to ask pretty much everyone in court to vacate. What do you make of this development?
Well, first of all, it is important to understand that the Nigerian Constitution has actually mandated courts to ensure that proceedings in court are actually made public. And that is generally to protect, the accused persons or the criminal defendants. It is presumed that when proceedings are public, the defendant will be given the justice he deserves because everybody will be witnessing the proceedings and the judgment of that of the court. But however, there are circumstances where the criminal defendant, or sometimes even the witnesses, even the victims in that case, may require some kind of protection. There are some instances where, witnesses testifying in especially high-profile cases, like the cases involving terrorism or maybe in election petitions, the law itself clearly provides that, the identity of those witnesses may be concealed, and also the proceedings and the rulings of that honorable court may be done in camera or secretly. However, in this instant case, especially like you just said, the application by the prosecution counsel does not cover or does not include accredited journalists. And this is also in line with the provision of Section 261 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which says where such an order is made, that is order for the public to leave the court, of course, excluding the parties and their legal representatives, that order should not cover accredited journalists.
Right.
But like you said, in this case, even accredited journalists and agents from media houses were also asked to vacate the court. And I would like to say that that itself is not actually, it's within the powers of the courts to make such kind of orders.
Yeah, but do you agree with this particular decision? Because I like to think that publicizing trials like this or making it public also adds a layer of credibility and transparency to the entire process. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, this is especially a constitutional provision. Like I said, Section 36 sub 3 and subsection 4 of the Constitution provides that all courts must conduct their proceedings publicly. But there are exceptions to every general rule. And one of the exceptions in this case is that where there is issue of public order or public morality, or there is issue of safety, then the judge may direct that the public should vacate the court. And there are also instances where the minister, if you look at the Constitution itself, it provides that the minister of the federal government, who generally is the Attorney General of the Federation, or the Commissioner of a state, may also apply in writing to inform the court that so proceedings should be conducted in camera or separately, and that can only be done in the best interest of the public. But like I said, in this case, this section has been clarified by Section 261 of the ACJA, that is the ACJA, which says where such order is made, there is a presumption that it does not include accredited journalists, except where the judge clearly said so. But every time a judge makes that kind of order, there is an embedded presumption in law that the order does not cover accredited journalists. But like I said, this does not actually stop the judge from making an express order, including the the media, where he deems fit.
Barrister, I do understand and appreciate the explanation. However, there's a difference between members of the public sitting in a court during the trial and accredited journalists who, based on their own ethics, understand what it means to protect witnesses and certain information that could be really sensitive and that may undermine the process itself. And for some people, this is reminiscent of the 80s and the 90s when the military will conduct such trials in private of political activists. And we all know what that really means, because they would not get any sort of fairness to it. Do you see a way for the Office of the Attorney General to push back on this and insist that at least journalists be let into the courtroom to monitor the proceedings?
I think it is in the best interest of democracy in Nigeria, and also in the best interest, for the sake of transparency and accountability, that members of the press be allowed into that courtroom, just so that they can cover whatever is going on, and that they may be admonished, of course, on ethics and professional ethics, so that they should, the reportage itself should be one that does not undermine, the country's security and, of course, public safety, and, of course, safety of the witnesses who are there to testify in this kind of cases. Like I said, testimony in cases having to do with terrorism or election petitions generally are very risky. We've seen cases where witnesses are being assaulted, where some of them have even been killed even before they testify in court. So it is only normal for lawyers from the Ministry of Justice to apply to protect witnesses. But like I said, there is a very clear provision of the law which says members of the media shall not be covered in such an order. And I believe, the Office of the Attorney General should apply to have the order modified such that members of the press may access the proceedings and publicize, professionally to the Nigerians.
Barrister Abba Hakimi, thank you very much for the insight and for the analysis on this particular developing issue. We appreciate you very much for making time and for joining us on the News Hour. Thank you very much for your take.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Right. Moving on to some of the day's other news now. Following the death of at least 6 persons, mainly children, from diphtheria, the Kaduna State government has ordered an emergency action to curb further spread of the disease across the state. 12 persons have been hospitalized following the outbreak of the disease in Kafanchan, Jemaah local government area of Kaduna State. A statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the State Governor, Muhammad Shehu, says the diphtheria outbreak was recorded in 3 wards of the local government area, including Takau, Kafanchan A and Kafanchan B. Shehu explains that the disease broke out 2 weeks ago after some residents started exhibiting symptoms. The statement says that the index case was a 4-year-old boy whose illness started on July 4th but died after 48 hours, while 5 out of 17 new cases later died within the 3 wards of Jemaah local government. 12 others are presently on admission in the hospital Now, following the loss of lives in the affected communities, Governor Obasani has directed the State Ministry of Health to send an emergency team to investigate the cases and ensure the movement of affected cases to adequately equipped hospitals for proper management, active contact tracing, and intensive community sensitization in all affected communities and surroundings. Now, after the discovery of a suspected case of diphtheria in some parts of Kaduna State, 3 people were feared dead, while 7 others were hospitalized in Makarfi local government area of the state on Friday. The head of Department Health of Makarfi local government area, Aliu Al-Hassan, confirmed the outbreak of the suspected case in Tashar Nakau of Gubuchi ward in Makarfi local government area. Al-Hassan says most of the affected victims were children. He, however, stated that already measures have been taken to curtail the widespread of the disease among the community. The head says, quote, those suspected with the disease have been taken to hospital and isolated for medical observation. He also said contact tracing is going on to prevent further spread of the disease. Al-Hassan, however, assured that adequate measures have been put in place to safeguard the health conditions of residents, while urging people not to panic as the outbreak is under control. Now let's join our correspondent Abubakar Sadiq from Zaria to give us some more update on this particular development. Abubakar, good evening and thank you very much for making time. Hello, Abubakar. Okay, I think the connection is not good at the moment. We'll circle back to Abubakar so we can get a lot more insight into some of these developments in Kaduna, where there are concerns about the outbreak of diphtheria. But still staying in Kaduna, private schools are struggling to operate their school bus services due to the recent hike in pump price of petrol, resulting in difficulties for parents and guardians of students. Some private schools in Kaduna say they now run at a loss due to the new economic reality in the country. Bello Musa has more.
The increase in the fuel pump price is taking toll on many schools in Kaduna. They are now finding it difficult to sustain conveyance of school pupils before and after school hours.
Previously, our cost of running the 5 vehicles is about 68,000 at most. But now, the cost of running the vehicles is 199,200 to fuel the vehicle every 6 days. Every 6 days. So now it means in a month, we have to fuel the vehicle, it will cost us 1 million.
The option available to school proprietors is to increase the fees and other charges, but parents may not welcome any idea of increase at this difficult period.
Yeah, if the situation persists, already we have started talking to ourselves with the management and other interested stakeholders that we won't have option other than to review our school fees. And if the school has been in operation since 2014, that's 9 years ago, it means at least we have done a lot. We should be able to raise the school fee, however minimal, to a minimal level. Even if it is 10% or 20%, we should be able to do that in order just to keep the school running.
Abdul Mumin Muhammad is a father of 11 children. He says taking his children to school amidst increase on the pump price is biting hard on him.
We find it difficult to send our children to school. Even as a father, if you have a car, you can't fuel your car. You can't fuel a vehicle. Talk less of those that don't even have a bicycle.
So they are finding it difficult to do that. And on our own side, we are saying there is no way, we are already middle of the term, almost getting to the term, end of the term. We can say, okay, fine, we will stop these bus services for them. No, these children, they are our children, they are the community children. And we decided, let's support them. Let's continue. Let's finish this term with them. They have just started exams today, day before yesterday. Let's continue. Let's see how we manage the situation. Let us finish the term.
According to some parents, if the situation persists without intervention from government, the education system, especially in the north, will suffer a big setback.
First thing that will happen is the student will not go to school. They will be at home. And losing a day in this system will affect the learner. So when it continues, the whole session, academic session, they will lose it. And when they lose it, that means the system is collapsing.
Some state government are now thinking of, allowing civil servants to go to work 2-3 days per week. So maybe, if not magic, the education sector will not meet to their target. Really speaking, something very urgent has to be done to rescue education in Nigeria.
To have negative impact on education in the north, in the sense that by next session, definitely you will witness school dropouts.
Stakeholders believe that there should be intervention by the government for both public and private schools in order to arrest the situation, or else the system may suffer or possibly collapses. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Now, Jabi Motor Park in Abuja is recording low passenger turnout. Union members in the park say the fuel price hike is responsible for the increase in transportation fares. Noel Sampson visited the park and now reports.
The Jabi Motor Park is usually a beehive of activities, with passengers coming to board vehicles for long-distance travels. But the recent fuel price hike has changed all that. The park is looking empty as few passengers who can afford the fares are seen waiting for the vehicles they are boarding to get the required number of persons to begin the journey. Taiwo Oshobu is the chairman of Bus Long Journey, bus unit and the park, and he speaks on the low passenger traffic.
From 5:40 to 6:17 now, it's totally out of hand. No passenger. One motor can position for 3 days, no passengers. No passenger. For 3 days, no passengers. From here to Lagos, I think we are carrying 19,200 naira. Before the subsidy, we carry 15,000. After the subsidy, we carry 19,200 naira. Since it came to 617, we have not even increased.
However, passengers also have this to say concerning the low passenger traffic since the increment of fuel price.
Before, by this time, people will have been here, be traveling, but because of this increment of petrol, nobody wants to travel. If not because I came to Abuja to do some important thing, I won't come. Me too, I won't bother myself to travel because I know it will cost me a lot.
The cost of transportation will definitely reduce. People will now consider, instead of them traveling regularly, someone that is traveling every week, the person might decide to extend it for 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so it depends.
Small business owners at the park are also lamenting low patronage owing the low activities.
That don't affect my market. You see me for shop, I sit down for shop. If you say like before, I'm busy. I don't have time to stay one place.
Well, thank God. I won't say I don't make more sales as I used to, but honestly, before now, I make more sales. Transport fares were doubled when the fuel subsidy was removed, but the second bomb price hike may further change the dynamics at this motor park. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, you're watching the news hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Cattle market traders lament low patronage. We have details of this and many other stories coming up ahead after the break.
That's great.
sounds like you're disappointed with the current lot.
We are outside, me and you, regardless, we could have done better.
That you don't have to sacrifice your conviction. We cannot settle for what is bad.
I sacked a governor because of misappropriating 300,000 naira.
The clamor by the NCSC was a unitary form of government. This doesn't go well with Savannah. So when we said we wanted self-government for Nigerian entities, so you count me out.
What you call goal, aims and directives. But the issue of joining politics simply because you want to be given job or to be given contract.
Removing the assumptions, the foundations of their fears, and at the end of it, each and every one of them seems to be surprised.
I was posted to Guachuku. My job was to go from community to community, educating the people how to improve themselves. Government will come to help you.
Welcome back to the News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a quick recap of our top stories at this hour. Court of Appeal orders Nigeria Customs to pay 100 million naira for the death of Abdurrahman Sani in Kebbi State. Another 3 children feared death from diphtheria outbreak in Kaduna as 7 are hospitalized. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has assured Nigerians that he will focus on providing adequate security to all citizens and parts of the country. The Nigerian leader also says Nigeria and neighboring countries in the Lake Chad region must display courage in reforming their military doctrine and practices. He said this at the graduation ceremony of Senior Course 45 of the Armed Forces Command and Staff College Jaji in Kaduna State. Kehinde Amodu has more.
President Tinubu, while speaking at the graduation ceremony, promised that his administration will deploy the entire machinery of state power to ensure the security of lives and property of the Nigerian people. He also pledged more support for the military as he commended them for protecting the territorial integrity of the nation.
We must also be brave enough to reform military doctrine and practice. We do not face a conventional army on the traditional field of battle. No, we contend against mobile, elusive, irregular forces that disdain the normal rule of warfare.
President Tinubu, who also congratulates the graduating officers, described the military officers serving Nigeria as the best group of people out of the over 200 million citizens of the country. The president assured the public that the armed forces under his administration will be well equipped to enable them to discharge their responsibilities of protecting the lives and property of the citizens both internally and globally.
Your nation has invested in you and your training. Much faith has been placed upon your broad shoulders. Our collective safety rests in your hands. We believe in you because we know you possess the sufficiency of character and skill to see us through challenges.
The commandant of the college, Air Force Marshal Hai Alhaji, explained that the 291 students completed the 48 weeks intensive training leading to the award of Past Staff Course, PSC.
A total of 291 students will be awarded the distinction of Past Staff Course today. These include 152 Nigerian Army officers, 68 Nigerian Navy officers, and 45 officers of the Nigerian Air Force.
President Tinubu presented PSC certificates and awards to selected graduates as well as the best graduating students.
Noel Sampson there with the report. Staying in Kaduna, Governor Sani Uba has said he commended the troops of the Nigerian Army for their gallant efforts towards degrading and eliminating criminal elements in the state. This comes as the troops on Thursday eliminated bandits in the Kagarko local government area of Kaduna State. During the clearance operation, the troops flushed out bandits from their hideouts in Kagarko Iche, Takalafia, Gidamakiri and Jangala communities, all within Kagarko local government area. Governor Sani lauded the bravery of the troops in flushing out bandits from their hideouts in Kagarko, attributing the successes so far recorded to increased surveillance and coordinated action of the security forces. He, however, reiterated the resolve of his administration to forge partnership with security forces to tackle the current and emerging security threats in Kaduna and its surrounding areas, stating that increased cooperation between the Kaduna State government and the security forces is already paying off. Now, the leadership crisis rocking the Nasarawa State House of Assembly has been laid to rest following the re-inauguration of the Assembly on Friday. Abubakar Abdullahi reports that members of the two factions of the State Assembly have reached a consensus among themselves, leading to the resolution of the impasse. The report.
Prior to the re-inauguration of the Nasarawa State 7th Assembly, two factions elected different speakers of the Assembly. This generated crisis among members on who was the authentic speaker. But with the intervention of stakeholders including President Bola Tinubu, members of the 7th Assembly of the state reached a consensus and accepted to work together under a common leader. Clerk of the Assembly, Ibrahim Musa, inaugurated the Assembly upon proclamation of the State Governor, Abdullahi Sule. 24 members, including the lone female member, Hajara Danyaru, from Nasarawa Central Constituency, elected Ibrahim Balarabe as Speaker. A PDP member, Abel Bala of Nasarawa Egon West Constituency, was elected as Deputy Speaker.
I therefore want to congratulate all our honorable members for successfully subscribing to the oath of membership and oath of allegiance, in what is evidently a historic and momentous development in the annals of the history of the legislature. Let me therefore use this opportunity to assure you, my colleagues, that you will find in me a good and honest partner. At this moment, let me humbly solicit for your cooperation and understanding, so that collectively we shall take Nasarawa State to the next level of development, particularly now that the state is yearning for peace and progress.
Daniel Ogazi, who was elected factional speaker during the assembly crisis, said negative impact on the governance of the state and intervention of stakeholders made his camp to rescind the decision of leading the assembly.
I am equally worried that my ambition to be Speaker of the 7th Assembly has aroused opposition with an attendant negative consequence on governance in the state. This unfortunate development is a serious cause for concern for any well-meaning Nasarawa State citizen. A patriotic call to reconsider my stance and come to a compromise, not because it is the right thing to do, but because it is a decision that best serves our collective interest as a state in order to make any reasonable progress.
Ogazi appealed to the citizens of the state, especially their supporters, to see reasons from them on why the state must make progress regardless of their ambitions or any personal interest.
In the absence of 3 witnesses on Friday stalled the hearing of a suit against Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, at the Kano State Election Petition Tribunal. APC is challenging the declaration of Yusuf of NNPP as winner of the gubernatorial election in the state conducted on March 18 this year. The respondents in the petition are INEC, Governor Yusuf, and the NNPP. When the petition was called, counsel to Yusuf A. Tayo Fatigun SAN told the court that the 3 witnesses they had called were absent. Counsel to INEC, Emmanuel Osayomi, and counsel to NNPP, John Olushola SAN, did not oppose the prayer. Counsel to the petitioner, Efyong SAN, also did not oppose the request for an adjournment by the second respondent. The petition had on July 15th closed its case after calling 32 witnesses, while INEC closed its case on Thursday without calling any witness. Justice Oluyemi Akinton Osadebe adjourned the matter until Saturday for the NNPP to open its case. Traders at Nguru Cattle Market say the business is threatened by shrinking capital and low customer patronage from neighboring countries like Chad and Niger Republic. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin, who recently visited one of the oldest cattle markets in Yobe State, now reports.
Hundreds of traders from across the Federal Republic of Nigeria and beyond attend this cattle market in Nguru local government area of Yobe State on weekly basis. Cattle and other domestic animals are traded here in large volume. Its popular camel market tells a story of how merchants from around the world are trading here for generations.
If I can recall some 50 so years, people like Tubawa, Fulani, and the rest in the Niger Republic are used to this place very, very well. Because even now, you can find their children married to our people here. And we are, therefore, to be used to us is just simple. Because we share the same language.
But that was as far back as 1980, when the Kano Guru train service was in full operation. Today, traders say things are no longer what they were.
Well,
a lot of things have happened. If you look at this market, it is not what it used to be. This market used to be a hub of trading activities, especially for cattle and other domestic animals. Yet we thank God, because things are moving, we are still doing our businesses as usual. The lack of capital, recent security challenges courtesy of Boko Haram insurgency and banditry in some part of Nigeria's northwest region, as well as the nation's general economic hardship, are some of the factors responsible for the dwindling activities in this market. You know, we have so many people from different parts of the country that are coming into this market. During when we are having security challenges, we had a series of problems. But we thank God now things are getting better, even though we don't have enough capital to sustain the business. But with the recent improvement in security situation across Yobe State, traders say things appeared to have been getting better, and traders from all over the country are once again trooping here for business. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Yobe.
Now, the government of Kaduna State says it is ready to address the issues of social injustice, inequality, and other social vices bedeviling mostly women across Kaduna State. The Deputy Governor, Hadiza Sabuwa Balarabe, revealed this at a meeting with stakeholders in Kaduna. She says the state has since created Social Intervention Office to support, coordinate, and implement social intervention programs to support the vulnerable and poor population in the state. The report.
Women and children, especially in rural communities, are always vulnerable to social injustice, inequality, and lack of access to opportunities like their counterpart in urban areas. Myths and other harmful cultural practices are some of the factors that hinder women from engaging in some gainful activities that would better their lives. At this meeting, which seeks to address such challenges vulnerable women and children face, the Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe emphasized that the 7-point agenda of the state government will address some of the challenges hindering the development of women in the state.
Kaduna State government is committed to addressing issues of social justice, promoting equality of opportunities, and protecting the human rights of citizens of the state. In keeping with these commitments, the government has sustained budgetary investments in the social sector, leading to the expansion of healthcare access in undeserved areas, and increased enrollment in primary and secondary schools, which are now free and compulsory in all our public schools.
He says the state government is ready to collaborate with relevant partners to uplift the standard of living of the citizens of Kaduna State.
As a government that believes in partnership and collaborations in achieving our development agenda, we remain open and receptive to working together with organizations like Action Aid Nigeria to achieve our shared objectives.
With women in southern Kaduna areas set to suffer inequality and other gender issues, the stakeholders here harped on the need to address some of these challenges.
while inheritance perpetuated an unjust cycle, denying women their rights to autonomy. Lastly, food insecurity casted a cloud of uncertainty over daily life.
We started in Southern Kaduna, the first operational zone of the local rice program, where communities were faced with numerous economic challenges, lack of basic social amenities, denial of education, right to the girl child labor, teenage pregnancies, and so on.
According to stakeholders, some of the ways to address the vulnerability of women is to equip them with skills and the conducive space to better their lives. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The organized labor in Oyo State has warned of an imminent indefinite strike action if issues bordering on its welfare are not urgently addressed. The group made the call in Ibadan during an emergency Congress meeting to address matters affecting the welfare of its members, especially with the increment in the price of petrol. While addressing it, newsmen, the chairman, Nigeria Labour Congress, Oyo State Chapter, Comrade Kayode Martin, says the union feel the excruciating pains of Nigerians, especially in the state, and in the face of the removal of fuel subsidy, with a clarion call on governments at state and federal level to put the interests of the ordinary Nigerians on the front burner. The Labour Union want authorities to address issues bordering on salary deductions, palliative for workers, continued payment of pensions, formalization of recently promoted state workers, and continued payment of retired workers' gratuities, or risk a total shutdown from July 24th.
The effect of subsidy removal, as is being done in all other states. The cost of living has gone up, and it has really made life difficult for the entire masses. As of today, we can tell you that workers find it difficult to resume at the respective offices because of the financial hardship. So we demand that all these things be done between now and Monday morning. Otherwise, we can no longer guarantee industrial harmonies in the states.
UC and NLC, we have made our position on this known properly. We were never against the removal of fuel subsidy, but we were saying that while you want to do that, there must be consultation and on how it will be done in such a way that it will have human face to it, in such a way that it will not make life very terrible for people. Just 48 hours ago, it was 500 naira. Today now, it is 600, 700, and the prices are going up. So we were not against fuel subsidy removal, but we have asked the government, let's come together to see how life will be better for the people while you do what you want to do.
Elsewhere, a midnight fire outbreak at a terminal managed by Port and Cargo Limited in Tinkan Island in Lagos raised down property worth millions of naira. Though the fire had been put out, but one of the cargo handling equipments was completely destroyed by the fire. Witnesses say the only fire truck owned by the management of the terminal could not contain the fire when it started. They say it took efforts from other terminals close by to bring the raging fire under control. However, no life was lost, but few personnel of the terminals sustained minor injuries while trying to put out the fire. The management of the port and cargo have not revealed the cause of the fire, but sources say the fire started from one of the cargo handling equipments close to the quay side while operations were still on. Nigeria's economic diversification agenda is as old as the country itself. Efforts by successive governments to increase revenue from the non-oil sector have not yet yielded tangible results, and the continuous over-reliance of the proceeds of crude oil continues. Yusuf Akogu in this report highlights the steps taken so far and the challenges that lie ahead.
Economic growth and development require multiple sources of revenue. This will make more money available for government to cater for its expenditures. However, Nigeria's effort to shift revenue focus to non-oil sector has remained a major challenge.
We are doing this, of course, to generate jobs or to create jobs. We are doing this to increase industrialization. We are doing this to get foreign exchange. We are doing this to curb this incessant case of youth restiveness. And these are some of the things we are doing because, we have to face the federal government. The president, when he came on board, from his body language, he means business. So everybody has to sit up and know that they mean business.
For Director General of the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, the export of agricultural commodities such as cocoa, cashew, sesame seed, palm oil and other tropical products present a tremendous opportunity to earn foreign exchange and strengthen the national currency, the Naira.
Most importantly, getting us to add value, get more value for the money. We'll be selling items as we export them overseas. And this is exactly in line with what the present administration is doing, encouraging exports, get value addition in that process.
Despite the incentive provided by the Export Promotion Council, exporters are faced with numerous challenges.
We should be well equipped with funds as an empowerment for us to be able to do our business the way we should do it. Then the policies of exports in Nigeria has to be reformed and properly placed so that things will work out well.
Diversifying Nigeria's economy and increased export activities are crucial steps toward achieving sustainable development and reducing the country's vulnerability to global economic fluctuations. Yusuf Akogun, Trust Television News, Abuja.
You're still watching the news hour. We'll be back in a moment with more news stories. Join us again.
Hello guys, welcome to Showtime.
I don't even believe there's any other industry that will handle me like movie industry.
Yeah.
I told you I'm deep and soaked into movie industry.
In secondary school, there's Fatima and Mariam Adamu, and then we sort of took the names of the characters in that cartoon.
I think entertainers themselves need to wake up and smell the coffee and say, diversification is the way to go. Yes, you can sing or make great beats or act in a film, but what else can you do?
I became one of the best makeup artists in Nigeria. I won AMA Award Best Makeup Artist.
Do you think we are I need the fool do when I talk to you? You start straight. Attention!
Welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us on the News Hour. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafor for today's briefing in business.
Nigeria maintained the position of the largest economy on the African continent for the fifth consecutive year in 2022, with a nominal GDP of $477.4 billion. The giant of Africa, as it is mostly referred to, accounted for 17.4%, representing $2.7 trillion of the African economy in the review year. This is according to data released by the World Bank. Nigeria has topped this list since 2018 when it overtook South Africa as the largest African economy. According to the World Bank, Nigeria's economy grew by 8.3% year on year in 2022, from $440.8 billion recorded in the previous year. Egypt follows a GDP estimate of $476.7 billion, having recorded a 12.3% growth in its GDP from $424.7 billion in 2021. In third position was South Africa with an estimate of $405.9 billion. The top three economies account for almost half of the continent's economy at 49.5%. Banks' net domestic credit to the economy has hit 84 trillion naira, representing an 11% month-on-month rise from 75.49 trillion naira in May. The breakdown, according to the money and credit statistics of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, shows the private sector took 52.8 trillion naira, showing about 17.9% rise from the 44.78 trillion naira it collected in May of 2023. The statistics also show credit to the government rose by 1.6% to 31.2 trillion naira from 30.7 trillion naira during the period. On the other hand, the data also showed that currency circulation rose month-on-month by 4.0% to 2.6 trillion naira in June from 2.5 trillion naira in May. The rise in trend was also affected in currency outside bank, which grew by 4.15% to 2.26 trillion naira from 2.17 trillion naira in May. And finally, the Federal Account Allocation Committee factors it shared 907.05 billion naira among the three tiers of government in June 2023. The total allocation shows an increase of 120.893 billion naira compared to the 786.161 shared in May of 2023. According to the committee, the 907.05 billion naira total revenue comprises distributable statutory revenue of 301.5 billion naira, distributable value-added tax of 273.23 billion naira, and the electronic money transfer levy EMTL income of 11.44 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chamaka Mwafo.
Right, time now to bring you up to speed with developments on the international scene. Guinea-Bissau's government has ordered the suspension of teachers' salaries to weed out fraudulent claims on the payroll from fictitious workers. Now, the tiny West African country that depends largely on external aid to meet salaries in the education sector has declared a war on ghost civil servants in order to curb its wage bill. Now, the decision will affect some 8,000 teachers in the country's primary and secondary schools who earn an average of 50,000 CFA francs, which is roughly about $86 per month. The decision drew threats of action from a teachers' union. The International Monetary Fund, which reached a staff-level agreement for a $3.16 million extended credit facility for Guinea-Bissau in May, says the government missed 3 of its 8 economic reform targets that were due in March. One of the missed targets was a ceiling on wages. Israeli forces have shot and killed a 17-year-old Palestinian boy in the occupied West Bank, according to Palestinian officials, saying the latest bloodshed amid continued violence in the region. The teenager, identified by the Palestinian Health Ministry as Muhammad Fuad Atta, was shot in the head by Israeli forces during unrest in the village of Safa, which neighbors Ramallah, on Friday. The Palestinian news agency Wafa reported that the boy from Jela Zone refugee camp north of Ramallah was taken to the Istihari Arab Hospital before dying of his wounds. It added that Israeli forces had fired live ammunition, tear gas, and stun grenades during confrontations with local residents. The Israeli army says that a member of the paramilitary border police unit opened fire after masked suspects threw stones and rocks at Israeli forces, according to the Associated Press. It confirmed that a person was hit by gunfire, but no further details was given. It said that the soldiers opened fire in response to stone throwing and explosive, hitting one suspect who allegedly had thrown a bomb. And now to sports. Marseille have signed Chelsea striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The 34-year-old Gabon forward scored just 3 goals in 22 appearances for Chelsea after joining from Barcelona in a £10.3 million deal last September. Neither club have revealed whether Marseille have paid a fee for the France-born player. Aubameyang exits the Premier League for the second time in 18 months, having spent 4 years at Arsenal from 2018 before joining Barcelona in January of 2022. Still staying with football, French club Marseille and Senegal's Pape Gueye have been told they must pay Watford £2.3 million for a contract breach that took place in 2020. The Court of Arbitration for Sports announced this on Friday, upholding sanctions previously imposed by FIFA, football's world governing body. Gueye, 24, who has made 74 appearances for the Ligue 1 side, has been issued with a 4-month ban from football. But the Court of Arbitration for Sport overturned the one-year transfer imposed on Marseille. The dispute began in 2020 when Gueye signed a pre-contract agreement with then Premier League side Watford in April, with the club even announcing their new signing from Le Havre. But the player pulled out of the move and joined Ligue 1's Marseille in July on a 4-year deal. In January 2022, FIFA imposed the 4-month ban on Gueye and issued the fine, a decision which then challenged the Court of Arbitration for Sports by Gueye, Marseille and Championship side Watford. The court says Gueye and Marseille should jointly pay the fine. Gueye argued that he had been given bad advice by his agent over the wages he was likely to receive from Watford. And that is the size of our bulletin for this hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us. We do appreciate you for your time and company. Feel free to follow us across all our social media platforms for more content. And do feel free to visit our website, trusttv.com. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.